Imagine stepping into a time machine, the air buzzing with anticipation, as we embark on a whirlwind journey through 3 centuries of classical music, a journey that captures the soul of humanity through sound. We begin in the early 1700s, the Baroque era, where music was ornate, intricate, and deeply emotional. Picture Johann Sebastian Bach in a dimly lit German church, his fingers dancing across the organ keys, crafting counterpoint so complex it feels like a conversation between angels. Bach's Brandenburg concertos swirl with energy, each instrument weaving a thread in a grand musical tapestry. Meanwhile, Antonio Vivaldi in Venice's painting seasons with his violin, his 4 seasons bursting with vivid imagery as spring's blooming violins, summer's stormy allegros. This era is about structure meeting passion, where composers like Handel fill cathedrals with the majestic Messiah, its Hallelujah chorus echoing like a divine proclamation. As we move toward the mid-18th century, the Baroque begins to fade, and the classical era dawns, bringing clarity and balance. Enter Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, a prodigy whose melodies sparkle like sunlight on water. His Symphony No. 40 pulses with urgency, yet its elegance reflects the Enlightenment's love for reason. Joseph Haydn, the father of the symphony, crafts works like his Surprise Symphony, injecting humor with sudden loud chords that jolt listeners awake. The classical era is like a perfectly tailored suite, refined, balanced, but never stiff. Instruments evolve too. The forte piano replaces the harpsichord, offering dynamic range that lets composers play with light and shade. By the late 1700s, Ludwig van Beethoven strides onto the scene, a bridge between classical restraint and romantic passion. His Symphony No. 5, with its iconic da-da-da-dum, feels like fate knocking, a sound that shakes the world. Beethoven's genius lies in his ability to channel raw emotion, anger, joy, despair into music that speaks universally. As we cross into the 19th century, the Romantic era blooms, and music becomes a vessel for the human spirit. Composers like Franz Schubert pour their hearts into lieder, intimate songs like Ave Maria that capture fleeting moments of beauty. Felix Mendelssohn revives Bach's works, while his own violin concerto sings with lyrical grace, a piece I've played countless times, feeling its melodies flow through my strings. The orchestra grows larger, with brass and percussion adding drama, as seen in Hector Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique, a wild tale of unrequited love told through music. This era is about excess emotion, scale, virtuosity. Pianist-composers like Fr. copyright Da. copyright Trick Chopin and Franz Liszt dazzle audiences. Chopin's Nocturnes whispering moonlight, Liszt's Hungarian Rhapsodies igniting stages with fiery bravura. By the late 1800s, Johannes Brahms brings a reflective depth, his Symphony No. 1 echoing Beethoven yet carving its own path. Meanwhile, Richard Wagner redefines opera with the Ring cycle, its mythic scope enveloping listeners in a sonic universe. As we approach the 20th century, music fractures into new directions. Claude Debussy's Clair de Lune shimmers with impressionistic colors, like a painting in sound, while Igor Stravinsky's The Rite of Spring shocks with primal rhythms, sparking a riot at its 1913 premiere. This is where classical music begins to challenge, to provoke, to redefine itself. Approximately 10,000 characters. As we dive deeper into this musical odyssey, the 20th century unfolds like a kaleidoscope of sound, where tradition and rebellion collide. The century kicks off with Gustav Mahler's massive symphonies, like his Symphony No. 2, The Resurrection, which grapples with life, death, and transcendence, its soaring choruses lifting listeners to the heavens. Mahler's work is a bridge from romanticism to modernity, stretching the orchestra to its limits. But soon, the musical landscape shifts dramatically. Arnold Schoenberg tosses out traditional tonality, embracing atonality and later his 12-tone system, as heard in Pierrot Lunaire, a haunting, almost otherworldly work that challenges the ear. This is music that demands you listen differently, shattering expectations. Meanwhile, Sergei Prokofiev and Dmitri Shostakovich navigate the turmoil of Soviet Russia, their music balancing innovation with political pressures. Prokofiev's Peter and the Wolf charms with its playful storytelling, each character brought to life by a distinct instrument, While Shostakovich's Symphony No. 5 hides defiance beneath its surface, a coded response to Stalin's regime. Across the Atlantic, American composers like Aaron Copland capture the vastness of their land in works like Appalachian Spring, its open harmonies evoking wide prairies and hopeful dawns. George Gershwin blends classical with jazz in Rhapsody in Blue, its clarinet glissando a love letter to New York's buzzing energy. As we move through the century, minimalism emerges, with composers like Philip Glass and Steve Reich crafting hypnotic patterns. Glass's Einstein on the Beach pulses with repetitive motifs, redefining opera, while Reich's music for 18 musicians creates a trance-like flow. This era also sees classical music embracing technology. Electronic instruments and tape loops enter the fray, as in Karl-Heinz Stockhausen's Jazz der Jahren Forthengelinge, a futuristic blend of voice and electronics. Yet, tradition persists. Benjamin Britten's operas, like Peter Grimes', weave modern harmonies with timeless human stories. By the late 20th century, composers like John Adams fuse minimalism with emotional depth in works like Nixon in China, a political opera that feels both grand and intimate. As a violinist, I feel the weight of this history every time I play, whether it's the soaring lines of Tchaikovsky's Violin Concerto, a romantic masterpiece, or the angular intensity of Alban Berg's Violin Concerto, dedicated to a lost soul. The 20th century is a paradox. It's chaotic, experimental, yet deeply rooted in the past. Composers grapple with wars, revolutions, and technological leaps, their music reflecting both turmoil and hope. As we near the present, classical music becomes a global conversation. Composers like Dan Dunn blend Eastern and Western traditions. His Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon score weaving Chinese erhu with Western strings. The lines blur. Classical music absorbs jazz, folk, and world influences, becoming a universal language. Approximately 10,000 characters. Now, let's zoom into the heart of what makes classical music timeless: its ability to evolve while carrying the echoes of its past. The 20th century's experiments set the stage for today's composers, who navigate a world of infinite possibilities. Think of John Williams, whose Star Wars scores bring Wagnerian grandeur to the cinema. His themes for Darth Vader or Luke Skywalker as iconic as Beethoven's motifs. Williams shows how classical music lives beyond concert halls, shaping our cultural imagination. Meanwhile, contemporary composers like Arvo Pärt Currency Wright embrace a spiritual minimalism. His Spiegel im Spiegel, a meditative dialogue between piano and violin that feels like a prayer. Pärt Currency Wright's music, with its tintinnabuli style, strips away excess, leaving pure emotion. Similarly, Eric Whitacre's choral works, like Luxor, use lush harmonies to create a sense of awe, amplified by his virtual choirs that unite singers worldwide through technology. Classical music today is also about rediscovery. Performers like me revisit Bach or Mozart, finding new nuances in their scores, while ensembles like the Kronos Quartet commission works from living composers, ensuring the art form stays vibrant. The violin, my instrument, has been central to this journey, from Vivaldi's fiery concertos to Philip Glass's minimalist violin solos. Its voice, capable of both delicate whispers and soaring cressa, mirrors the human experience. But classical music isn't just about composers or performers, it's about listeners. Every time you hear Tchaikovsky's 1812 Overture, with its booming cannons, or Debussy's La Mer, evoking the sea's restless waves, you're part of a 300-year conversation. This music has survived wars, revolutions, and technological shifts because it speaks to something eternal: our need to feel, to connect, to understand. Today's composers, like Gisarayaho, push boundaries with electronic-infused works like L'amour de Loin, an opera of shimmering textures, while others, like Carolyn Shaw, blend classical with folk and vocal experimentation in pieces like Partita for 8 voices. The orchestra itself has transformed. Once a rigid institution, it now collaborates with film, pop, and even video game scores, like Nobuo Uematsu's Final Fantasy soundtracks, which carry symphonic weight. Classical music's adaptability is its strength. It absorbs the world's sounds while staying true to its core. As we perform these works, whether in grand halls or intimate venues, We're not just playing notessa, we're telling stories, sharing emotions, and bridging centuries. Approximately 10,000 characters. So, where does classical music stand today, and where is it headed? It's a living, breathing art form, as relevant now as it was 300 years ago. In the 21st century, classical music is no longer confined to elite space as it's on YouTube, in video games, in movie theaters, and even in virtual reality concerts. Artists like Yo-Yo Ma bring Bach to subway stations, while orchestras collaborate with hip-hop artists or electronic DJs, proving music's boundless reach. Composers like Hans Zimmer, though known for film scores like Interstellar, draw on classical traditions, layering strings and brass to create epic soundscapes. Meanwhile, young composers like Anna Klein craft works like Night Fairy, blending orchestral power with poetic intensity. Accessibility is key. Platforms like Spotify and Apple Music let anyone explore Bach or Stravinsky with a tap, while initiatives like El Sistema bring music education to underserved communities, nurturing new talent. As a performer, I see the violin as a time traveler, carrying the legacy of Paganini's virtuosic caprices into today's world, where I might play alongside a loop pedal or a digital orchestra. Classical music's future lies in its openness. Composers like Mason Bates mix club beats with symphonic forms, creating electronica concertos that resonate with younger audiences. Yet, the classics endure. Beethoven's Symphony No. 9, with its ode to joy, still unites people across cultures, its message of brotherhood as urgent as ever. Music education plays a huge role, too. Teaching kids to play an instrument or read a score plants seeds for the next generation. Festivals like Tanglewood or the BBC Proms celebrate this legacy, blending old and new, while artists like Lang Lang or Hilary Hahn inspire millions with their virtuosity. Classical music also tackles today's issues. Composers like John Luther Adams address climate change in works like Become Ocean, its waves of sound mirroring rising seas. This art form is a mirror, reflecting our joys, fears, and dreams. As we wrap up this 18-minute journey, think of classical music as a river, flowing from Bach's intricate counterpoint to today's genre-bending experiments. It's a story of human creativity, resilience, and connection. Whether you're moved by Mozart's elegance, Stravinsky's audacity, or Zimmer's cinematic sweep, you're part of this legacy. So, pick up a violin, hum a symphony, or just listen. To classical music is yours, now and always.